Hello, and thank you for joining the Washtenaw County Road Commission's virtual construction information meeting about the safety project that's planned for North Territorial Road and Webster Church Road in Webster Township. My name is Emma, and I am WCRC's Communications Associate. I'll be the meeting host today, along with our project manager. Today, I'm going to go over some housekeeping items before turning it over to staff for the presentation about the project, and then we will open up the meeting for your questions. Joining me in this virtual meeting is Project Manager Becky Houle. The meeting audio and video is being recorded, and it will be posted to the project webpage on wcroads.org in the next day or two. After the presentation, you will be asked to virtually raise your hand during the Q&A. I will provide instruction at that time on how to do this from either your computer, the Zoom app, or your touch-tone phone. The chat feature for this meeting is turned on. If you have a question during the presentation, feel free to ask it in the chat and we will address it during the Q&A period. You can find the chat window at the bottom of your screen. Closed captions are available if you click on the three dots labeled More at the bottom of your screen. Now I will turn the presentation over to our project manager, Becky.
Hi, and welcome to the North Territorial and Webster Church project meeting. As Emma said, I am Becky, the project manager, and I'm going to go over what we're going to be doing for this project. So the limits for the project are North Territorial from Mass to just east of Webster Church, and then on Webster Church from about Laurieland Lane to Railrick Drive. We've already removed the trees for the intersection work that we're going to be doing, and now we're going to be installing the center left turn lanes and a traffic signal. And then west of Webster Church, we've already replaced the two culverts, and we're going to be upgrading signs, installing center line rumble strips, and putting down new pavement markings. So we're doing this project to improve the safety and operation of the intersection and the North Territorial corridor. We've had concerns about the safety of this area, so we wanted to install the center left turn lanes and the signal. So this $1.4 million project is being funded through a federal safety fund, along with additional federal funds and the Michigan Transportation Funds. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the project and what we are planning on doing. So this is the existing condition of the intersection of North Territorial and Webster Church. We just have the flasher, single lanes going all the way around. We plan on widening the road and installing center left turn lanes and a traffic signal, so it will look similar to this example right shown on this slide. We're also going to be installing centerline rumble strips, refreshing the pavement markings, and upgrading the signs from Mass to Webster Church. We're also going to be adding additional signs around the curves at Donovan, so it'll look similar to this picture shown on this slide. This here is an example of rumble strips that we installed a couple years ago down on a project in York Township. Now I'm going to go over the schedule and the traffic impacts. So we have already completed all the tree removals for the intersection and replaced the culverts. We're expecting the intersection work to begin mid-April, with the final project completion expected at the end of June. However, the intersection will be open prior to the final completion of the project. There will be an impact to traffic. We are closing Webster Church Road north and south of the intersection. It'll be closed to all traffic, and a detour will be posted. We will be maintaining a single lane on North Territorial using temporary traffic signals. And then when we're doing the sign upgrades, the rumble strips, and the pavement markings, we'll be using a rolling lane restriction with flaggers as needed. We are going to maintain access to CJ's Party Store on their North Territorial driveway. We're going to be installing a driveway assistance device, which will look similar to this one shown on this slide. The driveway assistance device will safely control all the traffic exiting the driveway, and it communicates with the temporary signals that we'll have in place. So it'll be able to coordinate and allow people exiting the driveway to know which way is safe to turn. As I mentioned, we will be having a detour on Webster Church Road, so please do not try to drive around the barricades. We have been in contact with emergency services and Dexter Schools Transportation, so they are aware of this closure, and they will reroute as necessary. This is the detour. As you can see, we're using Joy, Mast, Walsh, Merrill, and Valentine. We are aware that not everybody follows the posted detour, so we are going to keep in contact with our area foreman and monitor the roads that people might be using and address any issues as they come up. This is a closer look of what the closure will be like at the intersection. As you can see, the road on Webster Church to the north is closed north of Laurieland Lane, so no access to Laurieland Lane will be available from Webster Church Road. We're also going to be placing a barricade with a local traffic only sign at their entrance off of North Territorial Road to try to deter people from trying to drive through there. South of the intersection, it's going to be closed south of that first Railrick Drive intersection, so everybody in that neighborhood is going to have to use that south entrance. And this map also shows the approximate locations of where the temporary traffic signals are going to be located. And that is pretty much the gist of it, so I'll leave it back to you, Emma.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky.
Yep.
Okay, so this is Becky's contact information. So if you need to reach out to her for any reason regarding the project or questions and concerns, you can definitely feel free to reach out to her. I'm going to take a second and I will show you guys how to find the project webpage on our website. So I've just got the regular Google browser open. I've typed in wcroads.org. Going to our homepage, there'll be a menu bar at the top of the screen. One of the options is going to be roadwork and construction. You can click on the current projects option once the down drop menu pops up. Here you'll see an interactive map of all of the projects that we have taking place throughout Washtenaw County. If you scroll down further, you'll be able to find project tiles for each of the individual projects that we have taking place in 2024. North Territorial Road and Webster Church Road Safety Project will be located here. Once you click on it, you'll be able to see a map of the location. Mine's not loading right now because my internet's not great, but there is going to be a map right here. It'll have information regarding the exact location of where this project is taking place, the traffic impacts, the township, and the funding source. Any project updates will be posted here under latest updates, including road advisories and anything pertaining to the project. We've got a little area full of helpful links. This includes the detour map for Webster Church Road, as well as the previous virtual public meetings that we've already held for this project. If you want to see a recording of it or check out the slides, you're more than welcome to here. Additionally, we've got Becky's information, so you can always reach out to her if you have any questions. And then I would very highly suggest clicking on this orange button, subscribe to project updates. This will allow residents to subscribe to specific projects, subscribe to specific types of updates that are put out, or townships that they're interested in. This is the best way to stay up to date on what's happening with the project and what you should avoid and where you should travel. Okay. So now let's open the presentation up to your questions.
Hey, Emma.
Yeah.
I do have something, and actually it's just a nice segue. So I'm Aaron Burkholtz. I'm the Assistant Director of Engineering here at the Road Commission. And as Emma touched on, the opportunity we provide to the public to subscribe for updates, there are other projects in this area that you might want to be aware of and that you may want to subscribe to. Because in addition to the work that we're going to undertake at North Territorial and Webster Church, we also have an ongoing project at North Territorial and Dexter Town Hall. We just had a public information meeting for that project recently, and that project just started. But that involves involved the closure of that intersection. So again, the intersection at North Territorial and Dexter Town Hall is currently closed because of the nature of the work that's going on there. And so again, for those that may be traveling the North Territorial Road corridor and continuing further west, you're going to want to know about not only this project at Webster Church, but the next project down the line down at Town Hall Road. The other project that people should be mindful of or should be aware of is as we're completing the work here at North Territorial and Webster Church, we're going to also be resurfacing North Territorial Road from Webster Church Road going to the east, going towards Whitmore Lake Road and US 23. So what we're going to try to do, working with our contractor partners, is to, again, segue as smoothly as we can from this project at this intersection at Webster Church into that asphalt resurfacing project. Now, with that being just an asphalt resurfacing project, it'll be a relatively quick turnaround on a project like that. But again, we want people to be aware of it because certainly we don't intend to cause additional frustration to motorists. That is not our end goal here. We're thoughtful about that. But again, North Territorial is such an important corridor in the north part of the county that we really have to try our best to keep it in good condition. And that's what we're doing with projects like this.
Awesome. Thank you for those points, Burke. Okay. So now we're going to go into the question and answer portion of the presentation. If you're viewing the meeting from your computer, make sure to first click on Join Audio. Then you can raise your hand by clicking on the Participants or the Reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and then the Raise Hand button at the bottom right of your screen. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. As the meeting host, I will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time. I will announce your username or your last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. We're happy to answer as many questions as possible, but please be respectful of each other's time. If your question is answered before you are called on, you can lower your hand by clicking the lower hand button or also by dialing *9. Okay. Okay, so I do see that I have one question in the chat. If anyone wants to send their questions over chat or raise their hand, now is the time to do so. Becky, I will read you out some of the questions that I'm receiving through chat. Okay, Sue asked me, will there be a road close sign for Webster Church Road for commuter traffic going southbound on Webster Church Road?
Yes.
Awesome, okay. Elise's iPhone asked, one of the places the culvert was replaced has a steep drop off into the ditch. Will a guardrail be placed there?
We are not planning on placing any guardrail at this time, but we can go out and take a look at it and see if it meets the warrants required to place the guardrail.
Awesome, okay. So Elise, if you want to take down any of the personal information that we've provided in this presentation and reach out to either the project manager or just WC Roads in general on our website, feel free to do so and we'll look into that further for you. Okay, I also want to remind the co-hosts for this meeting to check the chat themselves, just to make sure that I'm not missing any messages that might be sent to some of the other co-hosts. I don't currently see anyone with their hand raised right now.
I did get a direct message. Somebody had asked how long we expect Webster Church Road to be closed, and we're expecting it probably about like 6 to 8 weeks.
Awesome. Okay, and then I see a hand raised from Mark K. Mark, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself so you can ask your question.
Yes, I'm wondering how long the project at Territorial and Dexter Town Hall is going to go. It seems to me you suggested that the one on Webster Church was going to be about 8 weeks, I think was the game plan. How about the one on at Dexter Town Hall? And is that the only thing that's going on, or is there also something connected to that a new housing development just west of there?
I'll let you take this one, Burke.
Sure. No, and thank you, Mark, for asking. Yeah, so again, the nature of the work, the scope of the work down at Territorial and Town Hall is a little bit more extensive than this project is, the one that we're discussing today at Webster Church. Down at Dexter Town Hall Road, we're actually lowering that hill to the west of the intersection. We're lowering it by about 6 feet. So as you can imagine, with the nature of that work, it takes longer to complete a project of that scope. That one we're looking at right around probably 10 weeks. And that's it is influenced by things like weather. You know, we're thankful for the weather we've had so far this spring, and allowing us to really get a good jump off to our construction season. But again, weather always does factor in. If we get a week's worth of rain and the work that they're performing at that time can't be performed in the rain, then we're going to have to extend the job by a week. But again, to the point, North Territorial and Dexter Town Hall, we're thinking about a 10-week closure on that. In regards to the development that's just to the west of that intersection, that's kind of in the southwest corner of that intersection, I don't know a lot of specifics about that. I would only venture a guess at this point, Mark, that there will be some road improvements at the entrances to that subdivision. But again, I noticed they just started like land balancing there recently, so I'm not sure what the schedule is on that. But if you'd share your contact information, certainly we'd be happy to follow up with you as we learn more about that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I'm getting some more questions in the chat too, Becky. APG asks, the turn lane and signal was based on safety concerns or actual incidents that happened? I guess they want to know why we are deciding on a signal there.
So yeah, we've had this intersection on our monitoring list for many years, and we do have it meets the warrants required for a traffic signal, and that means that the traffic coming in from all directions is high enough, and that there has been enough correctable crashes at this location to install the traffic signal.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, and then Sue asked again, where will the road be closed signs be actually placed, i.e. on Merrill Road?
So for the road closed signs, there will be one on Webster Church, like there'll be a barricade with the road closed ahead. So that would be off of Valentine. So people driving along Valentine will know to not turn onto Webster Church because the road is closed. On Merrill Road, it'll just have the detour signs. Yeah, it'll just have the detours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also getting some other questions just about like the specifics of the intersection. So I'm going to pull up the detour slide again, just so people can understand exactly how this is going to be set up at the intersection.
Okay.
Dan also asked that he joined the call late and he wanted to know what the schedule for the closures were for North Territorial and Webster Church. And you said that the project was starting roughly April 2024 and going through June, right?
Yeah, it'll be mid-April and the final completion is June, but the intersection work should be done before that. So it'll be open before the final completion.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, Becky, when Becky references the fact that the intersection will be opened before final completion, when we set the time schedule in our bid documents, in our contract documents, what we define is an open to traffic date and then a final completion date. And so you can imagine open to traffic is dictated by all the asphalt pavement work being completed, all of the concrete curb work being completed, all of the permanent pavement markings being in place, and then we can safely open the intersection up to traffic. And then there's follow-up work that can be done outside of the traffic, things like restoration, things of that nature that can be done. So again, the open to traffic date on this one would come before the final completion date. And one of the things I'll mention about the temporary signals that we'll have out here, again, that's a means by which we can maintain two-way traffic in a single lane. It's something that we used last year. If anyone who's participating in the meeting may have driven the North Territorial Road Bridge over the Huron River down near Hudson Mills Metro Park, we used temporary signals out there for the same purpose. We needed to maintain two-way traffic in a single lane. As we implement these temporary signals, there will be an adjustment period. It is going to take us a few days to try to adjust the signals to most effectively, most efficiently move the traffic in that single lane. Because as anyone who drives this route will witness, we have that high morning movement is in the eastbound direction. So we have the AM peak is in the eastbound direction and the PM peak is in the westbound direction. We're going to have to use the first few days to adjust those signals to try to move the traffic as efficiently as we can. So if everybody can just be patient, especially during those first few days, we're going to be closely monitoring traffic and we'll try to get those signals dialed in as best we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay.
I
I
had
got a,
go
yeah, go ahead, Becky.
All right, so I had another question. Someone is asking if we're looking at changing some of the passing zones in the project, specifically around like Scully, Mulder, and Hickory Creek, and we are not planning on changing any passing zones as part of this project. We can certainly review the existing passing zones to see if they are still valid, and if we find any that need to be adjusted, we can. But keep in mind that sight distance or not passing zones are, it requires sight distance only is the factor. And if you make something no passing when you can actually see enough to pass, it creates more problems. So I think that everything out there is probably valid, but we can review it to make sure.
Awesome. And just so you guys know, you can visit our website and put in requests like that yourself through our WCRC Fix It program. Okay. I've got another
Emma,
question.
I can elaborate a little more on the passing zones. Just for those that are interested, this is Brent Schlag, I'm the Director of Engineering. If we create a artificial or a no passing zone, it creates disrespect for our system, a false sense of security for those that are traveling along the roadway, which is what Becky was touching on. And so we take that seriously whenever we establish those zones based on the speed limit of the road. And through the Michigan Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices for the distance required to see that site. I know there was also a question regarding the warrants for the traffic signal. So there's 9 warrants to warrant a traffic signal, and those include volume, crash history, delay. And when we look at those warrants, whenever a signal, we're looking to install a signal, it only takes 1 warrant to warrant a traffic signal. But it doesn't require us to actually install a traffic signal at the intersection because warrants are met. So that's why they may, as we monitor our intersections throughout the county, they may sit there for a long time with those warrants. And we try to monitor for any type of safety improvement. And then when funding comes available, then we look to install a traffic signal. And that was the case here.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I've got a few questions in the chat, Becky.
Okay.
I've got Salvatore asking, will there be road improvements on Webster Church north from the new signal to the closure point?
Yes. Yeah,
Great.
we're going to be paving all the way past the intersection with Lori Lynn Lane.
Awesome. Okay, and then APG asked again, will the barricade at Lori Lynn Lane completely close the road or open to local traffic? In other words, can the residents on Webster Church Road just barely north get through, or will we have to go all the way around to North Territorial?
You will have to go all the way around. We are completely closing off north of Loriland Lane.
Awesome. Okay, and then Dave Daly, I see that you have your hand raised, so I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Yes, so I was the one who asked about the passing zones, and I mean, with the closure of Webster Church, anyone going westbound on North Territorial, who lives, above, they're going to be coming Valentine over to Scully and turning down on Scully. And that's a passing zone in there. And it just gets really dangerous with vehicles pulling out of Scully, out of Mulder, out of Hickory Creek. And actually cars are passing both directions, which I know is illegal driving, but they're doing it. And they're not driving 50 miles an hour. They're driving 60 and 65 down North Territorial.
Well, and this gets a little tricky too, because Washtenaw County Road Commission is not an enforcing agency. So if people around this closure are disobeying traffic laws or blatantly driving recklessly, then that does need to be reported to the sheriff, because they have the authority to take action against people who are disobeying traffic laws. But we have notified the sheriff of this project and they are aware.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have one more question in the chat from Sue. Is there any consideration to lower the speed limit on Webster Church Road, the unpaved road part?
No.
Okay.
Damn,
Brent, would
Brent
you
will
like to add
elaborate.
Yeah, I can elaborate a little more. So on an unpaved roadway, due to the changing conditions of an unpaved roadway, actually the state of Michigan doesn't allow us to lower the speed limit any lower than the general speed limit, which is 55 miles, up to 55 miles an hour, based on conditions. So and that condition can change even on a bright sunny day. That roadway may not be to the condition where someone can drive 55. So the sheriff's department or the local police department would then determine what that condition is and what a safe and reasonable speed would be for that roadway. So whenever we say the speed limit on an unpaved roadway, it's prima facie. Prima facie means it's Latin for on the face of it. So it's up to 55 miles an hour based on the conditions. Unfortunately, no, to lower the speed on an unpaved road is not possible.
Okay. Thanks, Brent. And then I also see that Mark K has his hand raised again, so I will ask you to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there are any long-term plans for widening North Territorial and from 23 to 52, and what are the warrants for that? I've heard years past that when you reach 80% of the design application for a road, then it has to go into planning for enlarging the road. And someplace I heard that the last review of that road more than 10 years ago said we were at that 80% point. So is there a long-term plan on widening the road?
I am not aware, Brent.
Yeah, I can answer that. No, we do not have any long-term plans to widen North Territorial Road. As you can imagine, the cost and the impacts of widening North Territorial Road would be very great. Just the impacts to, we'd have to move those ditches and everything else out. As far as determining when a roadway needs to be widened, that's based on the volume of traffic, of course. But we would utilize it would be like the highway capacity manual. Then that would determine, based on that volume, whether or not the roadway would need to be widened. That volume is very high. You're looking at like 2,000 vehicles an hour based on that highway capacity manual on determining whether or not a roadway would need to be widened. And so a 2-lane roadway can carry a lot of traffic. What really kind of creates the congestion are the intersections. And so that's why whenever we're looking at a corridor, we're looking at improving those intersections and trying to not only alleviate congestion, but improve the safety of those intersections and the corridor.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, does anyone else have any other questions about this project specifically, about Webster Church Road and North Territorial Road? I'm not seeing any more questions pop up in my chat. I just want to remind the co-host one more time to check their own chat, and I don't see anyone else with their hand raised. Okay, I'll give you guys just a few more seconds, get ourselves over to the right part of the presentation. And if we don't have any more questions, I'm not seeing anything else pop up in the chat. I'm not seeing anyone raise their hands. Then I just want to remind everyone that this is the project webpage. You can visit this webpage to find a detour, to reach Becky, to subscribe yourself to updates, a whole plethora of stuff. Here's Becky's contact information. So if you have any questions after this meeting, you're more than welcome to reach out to her. Thank you for attending this virtual construction information meeting regarding the North Territorial Road and Webster Church Road Safety Project. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks.